Hey everyone, what's going on? Welcome back, or welcome to Did You See That? I'm Mike, and if you're brand new to the channel, please feel free to hit that red subscribe button down below, as I would love to see you back on a future video. But if you're coming back to the channel and you've already tuned in previously, well, firstly, thank you. Today is a very exciting video for me because, firstly, I've got to give a big thank you to April at Gravitas Ventures Studios, who sent me an early screener of the 2021 movie Good. And this movie is actually scheduled to come out in theatres and on demand on September 3rd, but luckily April gave me a screener to check out this movie and review this early. So this is going to be a spoiler-free review. And the movie itself is written, produced, directed, and also stars Justin Everidge, and it also has the awesome Keith David. So we've also got Nefertari Spencer as Barbara, who plays Keith David's daughter. We've also got a Kaylee Raquel as Shannon, and we've also got a Kristen Shanice as Janetta. So I'm sorry if I've pronounced any of those names incorrectly. The plot of Good itself is around Justin Everidge's character Payton, who becomes the caretaker of Gregory Devereaux, who is played by Keith David, a wealthy man who is facing his final months with a terminal illness. As they become close, Gregory's past sins force Payton to decide between his dreams and a pregnancy that could squander all of that. So firstly, I've just got to say that it is a quite very intriguing premise, and I believe that this is a lower budget movie. It is also kind of Justin Everidge's main directorial debut. He has done a TV movie before this and a couple of shorts, and I also love that the rest of the cast in this I've never really heard before, so it's really cool to kind of discover new talent. So my quick overall thoughts on the movie Good, I've just got to give massive praise to Justin Everidge, because I can't imagine that this was easy, this transition, going from a short featurette or a TV movie to an actual directorial debut feature film. That itself is an incredible feat to accomplish, especially as he also wrote the movie, produced it, directed, and starred in it. Those kind of things aren't easy to achieve, especially if this was a tighter budget movie, because it definitely felt like an indie movie. What I will say is that I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. The performances all round are solid, especially the leads of Keith David and Justin Everidge. The chemistry between these two and how that's built throughout the film is fascinating. It is actually really cool to see that play out during the duration of 1 hour and 20 minutes total that this film's runtime is. This was, I found, an easy breeze, kind of just a really easy movie to overall watch. I wasn't bored by it. I was invested in the movie. I also found myself intrigued as to what this mystery really was, because there's certainly elements where it does leave you guessing and kind of unraveling that throughout the entire runtime of the movie. So going into my positives, again, massive praise to Justin Everidge, and you can really tell that although he is kind of helming all these other feats in the movie, he is really giving it his all, and the chemistry between the two really does transpire throughout the duration. You can really feel that their chemistry is continuing to build, because ultimately at the beginning of this movie, Justin Everidge's character Payton is jobless, and he gets given a job to be the caretaker of Gregory Devereaux, who's played by Keith David, and how that blossoms and transitions from the beginning right up until the end point of the movie is just something to kind of behold, and I felt like the story was really well done and crafted. I also can give a big praise not just to Keith David, because he is awesome in this movie. You can tell he's having a blast in this indie movie, and then maybe it's a refreshing change of pace for him instead of being in, say, like a big Hollywood blockbuster movie. I've also got to give a big shout out to the 3 women that I mentioned before in the cast list, who plays Shannon, Barbara, and Jeanette. They all add something to this movie, but also gives them their own identity and really provides for an interesting and culmination appearances throughout. One thing I can say I admire about their respective performances is that they really did feel as if they were bringing their own. They gave a good performance. There wasn't really any time in this movie whatsoever where there was a lackluster in a performance, or you felt as if that character maybe wasn't needed, because Barbara, for example, doesn't have the best relationship with her dad. So throughout the movie, that is explored, also transpiring as to why that relationship is as it is. At the same time, when it's saying about the pregnancy, of course, Payton's ex-girlfriend Jeanette is pregnant, and how is the current partner going to deal with that? So this has a lot of different kind of like sub-stories blended into the main plot that really keeps you guessing and on edge until the end to be like, right, okay, so how does this piece match into this one, and how is it overall going to blend into the overall majority picture? So those questions are really left until the end, and the answers, I felt like I was filling them. I felt like it paid off pretty well in terms of the overall goal that they were trying to accomplish of these building the relationships between our two male leads, but also giving the female leads the overall intertwining story and as to how that affects Payton. So if I was to kind of choose and nitpick kind of like any negatives, I would say there's maybe one or two things maximum. So I'd say the one biggest thing for me, this could come down to kind of post-production issues, was I felt at times the audio and the soundtrack music that they have playing wasn't 100% in all scenes. So for example, there's odd times where the soundtrack throughout is kind of like blues, jazz, soul music, which, don't get me wrong, great. I loved that part of the soundtrack, and I really felt as if it was a perfect fit for this movie. However, that kind of like easy, somber music sometimes is played throughout like really serious moments where it's kind of like getting you to try chill out in those serious moments, but in that actuality you need to be kind of like as serious as these characters are in building their performances into the screen, because if you're not serious about that moment, then that is not really going to play off. And I felt as if sometimes the music choices didn't really match those scenes. And there was definitely one scene in this in the beginning where Payton and Jeanette is in this one scene, and the audio, I don't know if it's kind of obviously the microphones above them, obviously on like film stages or places or whatever they're doing, it felt as if the audio was quite very echoey for that maybe location, and it could be down to like the building itself was kind of like an echoey building, but I felt as if the audio wasn't kind of subpar to that or kind of overshadowing it. It felt as if it was kind of like more in the background where you could kind of tell there was like a big echo and didn't really overall fit that scene. So with all that in mind, my overall score for the film good is... So yeah, this movie comes out in theatres on September 3rd and on video on demand. I recommend going to check out this movie. It's got some fantastic performances. It's such an easy watch, but also a watch that is going to keep you gripped and enticed in the story. So with all that in mind, please give this video a big thumbs up, and again, subscribe to the channel if you already haven't. And until the next time that you see me, I'll be seeing you later.